Students, let's start with in our text. I want you to start on this page 4. We're going to do 4 through 8. This will be your assignment. But I like to always go through the text so that if you have any questions, hopefully these examples will help answer any questions you may have. So I'm going to start with the pre-assessment chapter 1. And this is a commonly used system equivalence that kind of came with the textbook, came with the pocket guide. Okay. All right. So today we're looking at pages 4 through 8. I just want to do a few examples because I want you to do numbers 1 through 100. But on the pre-assessment, for example, it says, write the following Arabic numbers as Roman numerals. Okay, so for example, all right, this is going back to Roman numerals. And for number 1, it's asking you, hey, well, how can you write 8 as a Roman numeral? Okay, now remember that, of course, remember the 1, of course, stands for 1. If you're doing your Roman numerals, that stands for 2. All right, you know what 3 stands for, okay? Okay, what about 4? Does everybody remember 4? All right, well, let's go to 5. All right, we know V is 5. So that means 4 would be with the 1 and V next to each other. That would signify the number 4. Well, if you have 5, you start sticking the capital ones behind it, we can make 8. So that will be V, so because that is 5, 6, 7, 8. And that will be your answer. So I know it was fairly easy, but I always like to go back and to make sure. This stands for 5. And does anybody remember 10? Hopefully you remember the X stands for 10. Okay? And I want you to tell me, does anybody remember 11? Not 11. The L, capital L. I'm going to give you the answer. All right, so I want you to go back and look at Roman numerals because this is just a pre-assessment to see what you remember. So it's okay if you don't remember everything. You can do research on it and find what you need. But always make sure you show all of your steps in this class. Instead of just giving me 1 step or 2 steps, I really need all of the steps to make sure you understand. All right, let's do another one. Let's do number 6. Number 6 has X and V. So what does that symbolize? What number? Because they gave you the Roman numeral and it's asking what is the answer. So this is 10 and V stands for 5. You're not going to run it all together and make 105. You're going to add them. So this signifies 15. Okay. So far, so good. You're doing great. All right. Let's look at one that deals with fractions. Add or subtract the following fractions. Reduce to lowest terms. So here we have 1/2 plus 1/8. Now, I like my fractions stacked, which is vertical. But whatever you decide is fine with me. Okay, well, how can I find a common denominator? Because 2 and 8 are definitely 2 different numbers. So let me come over here on the side just to make sure. All right, here, I want you to think of your timetables in your mind. All right, let's put this in your mind. All right, just a few. And I write it down just to make sure that you understand exactly where I am getting my answer from. And that's what I want you to do when you give me the steps of your problem. I need to make sure that I know exactly where your answer is coming from. All right, let me try my 8 timetables. Well, look, I've noticed that I could have stopped at the first one. They both have an 8 in common. They also have a 16 if I would have kept writing my 2s. But here I see that they both share an 8. They have an 8 in common. All right, I'm going to put that there in the denominator spot. Now I need you to help me figure out what's missing. I want you to think of your 8 timetables. 8 times what would give you 8? 1 times 1. Take that same times 1 to your numerator. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, help me figure out what should go here. 2 times what will give me 8? Think about your timetables. 2 times 4 will give me 8. take that same times 4 to the top. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, well, I'm going to leave my denominator alone, and I want you to add up your numerators. What is 4 plus 1? 5. Very good. So 5/8 for that answer. Okay, you're on a roll. You're doing wonderful. Okay, it takes time. Let me leave that up there just a few seconds, just in case you need to write that down. I don't want to be quick on the draw because this is a course that takes time, and hopefully some of you will be, if not all of you, will be future nurses, which I am just so proud to be a part of. Okay. And let me erase that, and let me give you some more examples. I love to give more than just one example. I just believe that it's important to give you a variety so that you can have an opportunity to go back and to look at it and kind of digest it. Okay. The next set, 15 through 18, says choose the fraction that has the largest value. So I'll do 15. So here it says 1/3 or 1/6. 1/3 or 1/6. Well, if I use my calculator, which I don't have one readily available here, all right, let me divide. The top goes in, the bottom goes out when you're dividing. Top in, bottom out. Well, 3 won't go into 1, but if I started adding zeros, it will. But you cannot start adding zeros until you add a decimal. So 3 will go into 10 3 times. 3 times 9, 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. Okay, well, if I drop another 0, 3 goes into 10 again 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Well, I notice that I have a what? Repeating decimal. Okay, so this is like saying 3, 3, 3, and the 3 continues to repeat the whole time. Well, what about 1/6? If I don't have my calculator readily available, the top goes in, the bottom goes out. 6 will not go into 1, but if I start adding zeros, I have to add a decimal. Well, 6 will go into 10 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. If I drop another 0, 6 goes into 40. I'm thinking of my timetable. 6 goes into 40. I'm thinking about 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. I've gone too far, so I can't use 7. So let me go back to 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Okay? So I'm noticing a pattern. Okay? 6 goes into 40 again. 6 times. So this is also a repeating decimal. Okay? It repeats. Okay? So the question is, which one is largest? 0.33333333 or 0.166666. Okay? So it's like having money, basically. This is saying, okay, well, this is equivalent to really 30 cents or 33 cents. This will be rounded. This will be equivalent to 17 cents if you were looking at it like money. So this 1/3 will be your largest value. Okay. The next set is just about multiplying and dividing fractions. It says multiply, divide the following fractions as indicated, reduce to lowest terms. So for number 19, it has 1/2 times 3/4. Okay. So these are usually fairly easy, the multiplication and division. So I'll just multiply straight across. If you can cross cancel, that will be good. But if you don't have anything to cross cancel and cancel anything out, just multiply straight across and reduce your fraction. Please, please, please. All right, so 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 4 is 8. So that answer is 3/8. Okay, so that was fairly easy. Here I'm trying to see, are there any others? All of them are fairly in the same category. 21. Okay, let me show you a division problem. Okay, now with division, we have to make this problem into multiplication. So this is the keep, change, flip that I hear so much about from many of my students. The keep, change, flip works on division. So I'm going to keep 1/4. I'm going to change the division into multiplication, and I'm going to flip, which is called the reciprocal, okay, to 3 over 1. 1 times 3 is 3, and 4 times 1 is 4. Keep, change, flip. Only for division, though. Only for division problems. Okay, so far so good. Let me get my eraser here while I'm getting that. I want you to be copying those examples down. And these are just examples to help you. And if you understand how to do it, that's wonderful. I just want to make sure that everyone understands where this is coming from. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. The next set says change the following mixed numbers to improper fractions. So this will help you with number 20. If you say, well, Ms. Thomas, I don't know how to do the multiplication. Well, first you have to change your mixed number to improper, and then you multiply straight across. Okay, so let me teach you how to do 27. Okay, for 27, if you have 2 and 4/5, and you're asked to change it to improper, you multiply the whole number and the denominator. Then you add whatever you have on top. So this is really easy. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. And you leave your denominator alone. Okay. 2 and 4/5 is the original problem in the book. Multiply and then add the top. Okay. The next set wants you to change the following improper fractions to whole or mixed numbers, reduced to lowest terms. So for 31, I have 120 divided by 40. Okay. So you could do one or two things. You can divide it, or you can see what will go into 120 and what will go into 40. The same exact number, of course. So let me choose 40. 40 goes into 120 how many times? Think about that. 40 times 1 is 40. 40 times 2 is 80. 40 times 3 is 120. Good. Okay. 40 goes into 40 one time. So this is equivalent to 3 over 1. And a lot of students just write the number 3. Okay. Which is just fine. Okay. A lot of students just divide that out. So I don't think you're going to have any problems with that. The next set on page 6, it says change the following fractions to decimals. Remember to place a 0 before the decimal point when the decimal is less than 1. Okay, so here on 35, it is 1/3. That looks familiar. I think we've done 1/3 before. So if they're asking me to change that fraction to a decimal, the top goes in, the denominator goes out. Okay, we're dividing. 3 won't go into 1, but before I can start adding zeros, I have to add a decimal. So 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is a 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. We'll bring down another 0. 3 goes into 10 again. 3 times 3 times 3 is 9. I can see that this is a repeating decimal. So 0.3 repeating. Okay, 0.3 repeating. Okay, for numbers 39 through 46, it says add or subtract the following decimals as indicated, or multiply and divide the following decimals as indicated. For 39, it has 0.36 plus 1.45. Now let's read this like it should be read. All right, this is 36 hundredths. Okay, tenths, hundredths place. All right, 36 hundredths plus 1 and 45 hundredths. Okay. Now here, you can do one of two things with adding and subtracting. We want to always line up the decimal. Always line it up perfectly. Okay, 6 plus 5 is 11, carry your 1. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 is 8, to bring down your decimal. And 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay. Now, of course, if we were subtracting, I would definitely put the 1.45 or 1 and 45 hundredths at the top, and then 0.36 if I were subtracting. Okay. And the same thing would go for adding and subtracting. You just want to make sure that you put the larger number on top when you're doing subtraction. All right. When you're doing multiplying and dividing, the rules are still the same. Some people like to stack, but you don't necessarily have to. It will only work if you are doing adding and subtracting. So if I have 6 times 8.13, a lot of my students like to write the 8.13. Okay, since the 6 is just a single, okay, a whole number. 3 times 6 is 18, carry a 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Bring down your decimal. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, very good. Okay, you're well on your way, doing well. All right, let's try 47. The next set says change the following decimals to fractions, reduce to the lowest terms. Okay, so think of it like this. So let me put it in this category: fraction, decimal, and percent. Okay, so they have given you the decimal, which is 0.25. Okay, now how you would write that as a fraction is how you see it. This is tenths, hundredths. Something is over 100, the 25, and then you reduce it. 25 goes into 25 one time. 25 goes into 100 4 times. That is 1 over 4. Well, what if they said, well, what is that as a percent? What would you do? All right, I want you to look at that. What would you do? The only thing you would do is move your decimal 2 places to the right and make this 25%. So the fraction, decimals, and percent kind of coincide with one another. It kind of helps one move to the next step. Okay. For number 53 through 62, it says solve the value of x in the following ratio and proportion. So a lot of I want you to definitely pay attention, because we're going to put when we get to the medical dosage, the IVs, the what am I looking for? The unit measures, things like that, pills, tablets, things of that nature. We're going to put it in proportion form. So that is crucial and very, very, very important for you to understand and for you to know. Okay, so for 53, okay, 4.2 is to 14 as x is to 10. Okay, all of these are colons. All right, so the outside are called extremes. These are your extremes. All right, and the ends are called your means. Okay, so here what you're going to do is we're going to put the extremes together by multiplying them, equals in the middle, and the 14 and the x, the insides, go together. All right, 4.2 times 10, if you don't have your calculator handy. 0, 0, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 4 is 4. All right, and the decimal place moves 1 time, so the answer, this is 42, equals 14x. Well, I want x to be all by itself, so I need you to help me divide by whatever's next to your x, next to your variable, okay? This is called your coefficient. Divide both sides by 14. 42 divided by, all right, this would be the division symbol on your calculator, by 14 is going to give you 3, okay? So that's how you will operate these. And for the ones that has a fraction, if you don't understand the fraction, just change the fraction to a decimal, and it'll still work. 1/5 is the same as 20 cents. Okay, so don't let it get you. Just change your fraction to a decimal. Change it to money so you'll be able to understand it, and do it the exact same way. Okay. For numbers 63 through 70, it says change the following fractions and decimals to percentages. Okay. Well, we've looked at that. So fraction, decimal, and percent. Okay. So let me look and see. Okay, for number 63, it gave me the fraction 1/5. Well, how can I change it to a decimal? Divide it. All right, divide. 1 goes in, 5 goes out, just like we talked about. 5 won't go into 1, but it will go into 10, but I can't do that unless I place a decimal there. 5 goes into 10, 2 times 5 is 10. So the decimal is 0.2, okay? And they always say you always put a 0 in front when you're signifying a decimal, okay? 0.2. The percent is, well, if I have 0.2, how can I change that to a percent? You move the percent 2 places to the right. 1, 2. And this blank space, I want you to fill it in with a 0. So that is 20%. Okay, I think y'all got the hang of this. I think y'all are going to do well. Okay, the same thing for 75 through 82. Change the following percents to decimals. So just like I gave you the 25%, for example, how would you take me backwards? All right, that's 75. Write down the number 75. So if I gave you the percent 25%, and I said, well, what's the decimal? The same way you moved it 2 places to the right, I want you to move it 2 places to the left. All right, so 1, 2. So this is just real simple, 0.25. No work at all. No work at all. All right, well, I don't know how to get it to a fraction. Well, read it out loud, and how you read it is how I want you to write it. This is tenths, hundredths. So how would you say this? 25 hundredths. 20 is how you would say it out loud. 25 hundredths. I want you to help me reduce my fraction, please. 25 goes into 25 one time. 25 goes into 100 4 times. That is 1/4. Okay, so I know you guys can do it. Okay, and the last set here, and I will leave you alone. I say that in class all the time. My students always laugh at me when I say that. I'm going to leave them alone. Okay, and you can always, I'm glad I videoed this so you can kind of go back and rewind it and look at it again. So this is one, and I also have a YouTube channel that I will be placing these videos on, that you can go back and look at it when you're off work. And when you have time to look at your lesson. The last set. Solve the following percent equations. Okay, so for 83, it says 30% of 60. All right, so is means equal. Then when you see the word is, I want you to think word equal. Of means multiplication. All right, I want you to think of multiplication, the x, or think about the dot, either or. All right, so you can't put 30% in your calculator. You have to change this to a decimal before you can multiply. So 0.30, okay, times, because we see the word of means times 60. Okay, so I want to multiply these two together. All right, so let me come down here. Where am I going to put my 0.30? Does it matter? Help me out. Help me out. It doesn't matter. Good. 0.30. Okay. But if I do it on top, make sure you fill that blank space in with a 0. Or if you say, well, Ms. Thomas, why didn't you just do the 0.30 on top? You can. Either or. I have students that do that like it both ways. I've seen it done both ways. So whatever is understandable for you, you will still get the exact same answer. 600 times 0.30, or put in a 60 at the bottom. It will still give you the answer, and I'll show you. So this is 0, 0, and 0, of course. This is also 0.60. 6 times 3 is what? 18, right? And carry a 1. 6 times 0 is a 0 plus the 1 I carry. All right. And I just need some help with my decimals. 1, 2, 1, 2. 18. 18. Very good. Okay, and this last set, and I will leave you alone, I promise. All right, so it is 93 through 100%, colon ratio, common fractions, and decimal. Same exact thing. All right, so I'm giving you an example like on 94, so that you will have a good example on what to do. Okay, and I'm looking to see if I should have given you an example like 86. You know, I always think about my students all the time. I will. before we move, let me make sure I give you another example. 30 is 75% of, and it has a question mark, okay, in my mind. So let me write this down. So 30%, so is means equal, correct? 75%, let me write that as a decimal. Means the more I'm multiplying something, but the blank space is nothing, so I'm put an N. Put an N next to that. Okay, well, that's going to help me decide whether I need to multiply or divide like I did the first one. Well, if I had 0.75 N together, I want you to divide both sides by 0.75. And that will give you your answer. So 30 divided by 0.75. My good students, 30 divided by 0.75 equals 40. Okay, so far so good. I think y'all could have got that, but I always like to make sure I go in and explain as much as I can if possible. Okay, and I'll leave that up there. Let me squeeze this other one over here just in case you may be still writing this down. Okay, so just say I have 94, number 94. They asked for the percent, colon, fraction, and decimal. Okay, it's out of order, but hey, we'll take it. Okay, so it is the colon. They gave me a 1/30. Okay, well, you know what the fraction is, 1/30. Okay, the decimal will be you dividing 1 divided by 30. And the percent will be you moving the decimal 2 places to the right. So I just wanted to help you when you see the colon, what that stands for. It's nothing. The colon just tells you this is the fraction, basically. That's it. That is it. So divide, in order to find the decimal, I want you to divide it on your own. Okay. Then when you get this answer, I want you to take it and move the decimal 2 places to the right to get the percent. 2 places to the right to get the percent. All right, and this is number 94. Okay, number 94. Okay, all right. I hope that was clear. And then I will be moving on to chapter 2. Have a good day, students.